Hello and welcome everybody. It has been a long time since we have conducted our last episode of the Theories and Thoughts, but today we are back. Here we are, ready for another episode of Theories and Thoughts. In between our last episode and this one, we have seen many things. Many things have happened in the video games industry, and of course, there are also things that happen in real life as well. For example, like the coronavirus has become a less of a concern for us. Things are going back to normal, and also students are going back to school. We might see a normal school life again. For those who are at school, welcome back. And also, kids are getting vaccinated, and hopefully we can eradicate this virus once and for all. Another thing that has come to our attention is the release of the Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. I hope I said that right. I simply call it GTA Trilogy DE for simplicity purposes. And I have to admit, we have played the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition. As a fan, of course, I would take the opportunity to play that game, since, as a fan, we will love to try out our favorite games ever. In the first few days of release, we have played it. It was not very smooth. To be honest with you, there has been some areas which are not satisfying, in my opinion. At the same time, there are also things that we like about the Definitive Edition, and that is of course the accessibility features. For example, the ability to things like increasing the font, the text size, increasing the brightness and the contrast, adjusting the brightness and the contrast so that the eyes can see better. Those things are welcome. However, there are also a few things that I don't like, but we'll go through that later. So let's go through the positives first. There are several positives to be taken from this game, and of course, one of my favorites is the accessibility features. The accessibility features, like the ability to increase the text size or decrease it depending on our preferences, the ability to adjust the brightness and the contrast, the colorblind mode for those who have disabilities. There are accessibility features which enable them to be able to play the game and have fun. So that's a good thing. Furthermore, the graphics are pretty beautiful. I have heard that the graphics were upscaled using an AI upscaling method, and this AI upscaling has its positives. The graphics, they do look good in my opinion. There is an increase in vegetation in the maps. For example, if you see in games like especially in GTA 3 and Vice City, you can see like a lot more vegetation, like maybe 3-4 times more vegetation. It does increase the hardware requirements, but it does look beautiful. Another thing is that the Trilogy DE is basically a trip down memory lane. It is just nostalgic to be able to play the game again with enhanced graphics and stuff without needing to install modifications. It is like the modification is already installed. It already looks nice. For modern computers, it already looks good enough. And of course, it is also another way of reintroducing the original, not really the original, but the 3D era trilogy, reintroducing the trilogy towards new fans who might not know much about it, because we have plenty of new generation of fans of Grand Theft Auto, and they might find this to be something refreshing to be able to play these games in a new coat of paint. All in all, it is just good to see these games again after a while. It looks okay in most aspects, but that is about it. Now I'm going to go to the cons. I noticed some inconsistency in the game. For instance, as a fan, I am very much aware that there are still inconsistencies from the 3D era. For example, something like Victor Vance's character model, Tony Cipriani. Like, these things are already known by many people who have played Vice City and Vice City Stories. Like, these things should have been rectified in a way, because it's been a long time and I'm pretty sure that they could do it. However, they decided not to do it for one reason or another. I'm also baffled. For example, when I played Grand Theft Auto 3 Definitive Edition, during the mission Dead Skunk in a Trunk, I found that the Forelli brothers who are chasing us, they are still dressed up like the Leons, when in fact we have already known that the Forellis don't look like the Leons in Liberty City stories. Like for example, they have different textures. I don't know why they didn't change the textures for the definitive edition. As a fan, I do feel a bit disappointed with this. Another thing that comes to mind is that there are many mistakes in terms of the AI upscaling. Then again, I understand that they used AI to upscale the textures. However, there are several mistakes which are apparently not addressed before the game was launched. And this is really baffling in my opinion, especially because this is not simply a game. It is like creams of the crop. These are legendary games in the Grand Theft Auto series. Unfortunately, they were released and they had many bugs, glitches, and inconsistencies. As a fan, I'm very baffled and I'm understandably disappointed by it. It should have went through quality control. I don't know what they were thinking when they saw the game. Did they even see the entire game before launching? I don't know. Then again, I don't really think that they did. It's a good thing that they released a patch after that. These issues with the Trilogy Definitive Edition makes me feel like this is nothing more than just a cash grab. A quick cash grab which uses the element of nostalgia to take money from us consumers and gamers. And this is a worrying sign in the video game industry when corporations take advantage of the customer like this. This feels like a cash grab in my opinion. A part of me still feels that way too. I feel like the fans have been tricked in one way or another. The fact that the game costs around $60, which is equivalent to 200 ringgit in my country, that is very worrying. It feels wrong, especially because the game doesn't really warrant that kind of price tag in my opinion. I say this because during launch, the game launched with several issues and does not feel like a totally complete game because of these issues, and there are many other things that were eventually addressed. I'm glad that they patched it. However, the things that they did before they launched the game, for example, like they took down the original games from Steam. They took down the original Trilogy games, the original GTA 3, Vice City and San Andreas from Steam. They eventually brought back the games, however, we could only get the original Trilogy games by purchasing the Trilogy Definitive Edition. It comes as a free gift after we purchase the Definitive Edition for people who want to play all of the games. That is also another thing that doesn't feel right in my opinion. It feels like a cash grab, and I feel like fans and consumers are being tricked, and this is not a good thing. I hope that this changes. I hope that there is a change in the games industry. We would not like to see something like this happen again, hopefully. Another thing as a fan is that I find it a bit disappointing that they removed the MP3 player. I used to have fun with the MP3 folders, putting my own music into the game. The ability to play our own music in the game is really something that I look forward to. However, the Trilogy Definitive Edition does not have this feature. I find that particularly disappointing. Then again, that is also my other opinion. I have my own thoughts regarding the game. While I welcome the reintroduction of the GTA games from the Trilogy Definitive Edition, I am not keen on the price tag. I find that it is too expensive. It does not warrant a price tag of $60 in my opinion. And also, I do not like the fact that they took down the original games. Now, if we want to play the original games, we have to purchase the Trilogy Definitive Edition for $60, and then only we can get the original Trilogy games. It comes as a free gift. However, it does not seem right in my opinion. Also, I wouldn't mind if the original Trilogy games, the ones that were released in the 2000s, I do not mind that they are considered as abandonware. Why not make the game free if they are not available in any other digital stores other than Rockstar Games Launcher? It makes sense to make the game free, just like what Rockstar did a long time ago with Grand Theft Auto 1, Grand Theft Auto 2 and Wild Medal. which they made it for free for many years. I think the game should have got new features, new quality of life features, for example like the ability to take cover behind the walls and then fire your weapons from the cover itself, the ability to swim, the ability to climb. These things are pretty much essential in open world games today. I know that it is a remaster, however, it does not hurt the reputation of the game. Instead, it helps the reputation if these quality of life features are added into the game. As a conclusion, I have to admit the game has flaws. I hope they are all fixed. I'm grateful that they are able to fix some of the flaws. However, there are still some issues that I hope they will address sooner rather than later. And hopefully they address these issues before they release the mobile version of the Trilogy Definitive Edition, which may come around the first quarter of this year. In spite of all the black marks, I like the accessibility features. I find the accessibility features to be something that is very welcome in today's games. And more games should have those kind of features in my opinion. At the end of the day, the Trilogy Definitive Edition could have and should have been better. I feel that it could have been a lot better if they had spent more time. Adding some additional features would not hurt it at all, and in fact it is going to help the game actually. A few additional features would be a great thing for the Trilogy Definitive Edition in my opinion. Okay, my rant is over. At least I think it was a rant, although it's not really much of a rant, is it? I still have some good things to say about the Trilogy Definitive Edition in spite of the negativity. I believe that it can be improved, and I hope that it will be improved by the time the mobile version is released later. Anyways, that is all the time that we have for this episode of Theories and Thoughts. I hope that we can see each other again in another episode in the future. So thank you very much and goodbye. And please stay safe.
It's upstairs in the safe. So Tommy, what was the big plan? You think I just take the fake cash, save face, and run away with my tail between my legs?
No. I just wanted to piss you off before I kill you.